Hey everyone, this is Sage Valentine, aka Etherblade, and this is my review of Season 1, Episode 4 of Believe, entitled Deflection. This is the aftermath of Bo basically blowing apart that cop's gun with her mind. Agent Farrell is there at the crime scene. She still can't believe that it happened. She's wondering how the hell did it happen. Meanwhile, Bo and Tate are on foot with Winter. Farrell feels like she needs more information from about Bo's parents before she can continue, looking for Bo and trying to apprehend her, I guess. And she talks to her director, reveals that Bo's mom is Nina Adams and her father is William Tate, who she's running with. But currently, he's, as we know, he's basically running a fugitive. So Bo has no parents. None. Tate, Winter, and Bo are on foot. They're on their way to 79th Street and Broadway. They're running. Tate is just like New York. Hiding in New York City was a big mistake. Channing is about to meet up with them. Tate is annoyed. He's asking a lot of questions, and Bo says he complains a lot. Winter's like, how does it feel to be reprimanded by a 10-year-old or something to that effect? Joshua is another one of Skouras' patients, because I guess there's quite a few people who have the same power that Bo has. And they're trying to push him as hard as he can to hone in on his skills, and he's having a bit of trouble. Leeds feels like he will get sick if he's pushed any further. Bo, Tate, and Winter seek refuge in a house that's been, I guess it's going to be renovated, and at once people, I guess they live there, and they kind of gutted it, and they're going to fix it all up. But anyway, they have to stay at this house for 12 hours, and Winter tells Tate that he's a very important babysitter, for Bo. So Bo and Tate are supposed to stay there, but somehow Tate, I guess through all this, he hasn't really been sleeping. He falls asleep. Bo's looking out the window. She sees this blue butterfly, and it's floating, and it's floating. And then she ends up following it downstairs into the backyard, because what she really wants to do more than anything in this episode in the series is just to be a normal kid and play. But she doesn't have that luxury. She can't really play with the powers that she has. She has to be, I guess, she's going to have all these people after her trying to either use her powers for good or evil. As you'll know if you've been watching, but just to catch you up, that's basically her purpose in the show. She goes to this brick wall where this the butterfly lands on one specific brick. Bo uses her mind to loosen that brick. It pops out, and then the letter pops out, and the ring falls. We see a flashback where we find out that Winter and Bo have always had this special connection, even since Bo was born. Winter wanted Bo to have a family more than anything, but Skouras wanted her to take the place of her mom and become that weapon that the government could use to, I guess, add more billions onto his onto his paycheck. Since the government saw what Nina could do, he wants Bo to do it. He says, change the world for the better, starting with Bo. I don't see how you can do that with her, but that's his plan. Tate was framed for murder, which is the reason why he was in prison. I'm assuming he was framed probably by Roman. Roman warns Farrell to corral Bo, but do not engage her. Only he can engage her. Tate wakes up, but he can't find Bo, so he's out. He's searching for her. And he goes into the backyard and sees a door open. Meanwhile, Bo is looking for the woman in the letter. Her name is Catherine. And she goes to Catherine's apartment. She's knocking on the door, and this rude man, looks like a businessman or something, he's knocking on the door. She knocks on the door, he opens it, he says something about he doesn't want to have cookies or whatever, and slams the door in her face. So then when Bo knocks again, Catherine opens the door, and Bo tells her that she found the letter at her old address, and that Catherine sees the ring, and Bo tells her, you know what, Matt still loves you. Meanwhile, Joshua seems to be growing okay, wait. No. Bo still loves her. Kat tells Bo that she used to love Matt, and he sent her a letter that he never wanted to see her again. But she's engaged, so she can't go see Matt at all, which Bo is pretty upset by this. When she finally meets up with Tate, Tate tells her that love or life is not like the movies. Real love is gritty. It comes and goes. 30% of it works out. It's hard. He's not, and when she asks, how do you know it? He says he's not as unlovable as he looks. Someone used to love him. That's Nina, Bo's mom, who died during childbirth. Okay. Tate wants Bo to go back to the safe house, but she takes off because she's got to meet this dude, Michael. Michael is the guy who wrote the letter. Meanwhile, if you watch the previous episode, Hayden, who was a character from the beginning, he basically, or if you didn't watch, I'm going to explain it to you. He basically left the group. He was tired of it. He felt like this is not what they started for. They started with 10 people and they're down to like 6 or 7, and he's just freaking out. So the cops put out this alert to find all these people who were involved in grabbing up Bo, including Tate. And they basically grab him and pull him into the police station. And Agent Farrell just brings up, you're up for attempted murder, kidnapping, it's all in your record, blah, blah, blah. So Hayden basically, he was basically assigned to teach Bo how to hone in her powers onto something. And they connected it by these things that look like this EKG thing to her brain. And every time she messed up, she'd get a shock. And then she messed up getting a worse shock. But the final shock that she ended up getting cracked under the floor. Basically, like, the power, she cracked the floor with it. So Winter came in and he snatched her out. And he basically took her out of there and she was crying. Tate eventually, like I said, he finds Bo after she rants. He wants her to give him a chance. She tells him to take back what he said about love. And he said, you know what, you're stubborn. You remind me of myself. I said, yeah, because that's your daughter. Okay. Joshua, like I said, was the guy who he basically has the same power as Bo, and he's growing stronger. And they have him outside in the field, and he's supposed to be like doing this guy's mind, like trying to, I guess, read his thoughts or something, but he becomes so strong that the guy's eyes start bleeding or whatever. And they basically want him to track and find Bo. When they finally meet up with Matt, Bo learns that Matt is blind, and that's the reason why he wrote the letter he wrote to Catherine and he didn't want to be with her anymore. And what ends up happening is that Bo basically sets a whole thing up to whereas Nina and Michael can meet in the park, because I think Nina might be a grade school teacher. She might teach an after school program, something like that. They meet up, and Catherine basically tells Matt, listen, if you had told me the truth, I still would have loved you. I would have taken care of you, but I can't. I'm getting married. And he tells her, well, he was embarrassed and ashamed for being blind, and he didn't want to be a burden on her. And he tells her to keep the letter and the ring. They end up separating, and Bo is like all upset, and she was just like, I want to help fix this. And Tate's like, we gotta go, we gotta get going. So Hayden ends up telling Agent Farrell about this command center that Winter has. So all the agents go rushing over to this command center, and when they get there, there's nothing there. So what ends up happening is that she calls Skouras, tells him what happened. He said, okay, go and contain. Once again, he says, contain Bo. I don't know if he said it twice. Maybe I said it a little bit earlier, but he says, contain Bo, but do not engage her. And of course, Farrell doesn't listen. And what ends up happening is that Tate and Bo are walking, and Winter calls and says he has a boat. He wants them to meet him on the Upper West Side or something like that. So, meanwhile, Catherine goes home. She talks to her fiance about, the letter and the ring. And the fiance mentions the ring, and she's looking at him, and she's like, "What did you say?" And he said, "Oh, just because a man gives you a ring doesn't mean he wants to marry you." And then it all becomes clear that her fiance hid the ring. And that's why she never received that letter and that ring, just so she could marry him, because her parents wanted her to marry somebody rich, wealthy, with money and a good job, but she just wanted to be in love. And he ends up saying, "You know what, I have money, I have a good job." I was like, "We're happy, aren't we?" And then the scene ends and we see Bo and Tate trying to catch a cab. Meanwhile, there's a cop nearby, and he sees them and he calls it in, and they're riding in the cab, and Agent Farrell and the other agents are driving towards them, and then they stop. They make Bo and Tate get out, even though the cab driver gets out first, because I guess he figures, and this isn't to be stereotypical, but I guess he figures they're after him for some crazy reason, like immigration or something crazy like that. So he's like, click out the car on the floor, like laying down, like I guess they think he's a terrorist. It's pretty sad that it has to be like that in New York. So they tell Tate to get down. He won't get down, so he and Bo start walking towards them, and all of a sudden, Bo closes her eyes, lifts up the cab, and flips it over on its top at the bottom and smashes it. And it freaks everyone out so much, it gives Bo and Tate enough time to run away. So they make it to the boat, and Tate explains what Bo basically did. Winter's amazed how strong she's become, and he's basically saying that, "Tate, you're good for her." Meanwhile, Leeds is telling Skouras that Joshua's powers are so strong, he basically wiped Gore's mind clean. And I think she's kind of worried about Gore, but Skouras is like, "Oh, well, we can use her to get him." Like, he could care less about Gore, to be honest. So Bo realizes now, I guess she sees it, that Catherine went back to Matthew, and she tells Tate about it, and he says something about it being, "Is that good to have that type of power?" And Bo says, "Not all the time." And she said that she could teach him, but he said he's one of those people that you can't really teach. And Tate basically learned something from Bo. And I just can't wait until that moment comes when she finally learns that that's her father, because they keep foreshadowing it. I think she knows, but when he knows, like, she gets kind of an inkling, but when he knows, I can't wait for it. Anyway, thanks for tuning in on this review. If you haven't watched Believe, definitely check it out on NBC.com, or if you have an iPhone and Android, definitely, if you have time, check it out on the app, because they're talking about canceling it, but it's a pretty good show, and it's worth your while. It comes on, I think, the same time as The Returned or something, so... Or is that show on ABC that starts with an R? But definitely check it out. It's worth your time. That and Crisis, both shows together are really good. So anyway, just check my links. Definitely check me out I'm at Sage Valentine at Twitter.com. I hope you can handle it on Blogger. The Truth is on WordPress. 1,000 Heartbeats on Tumblr, and just check out my other videos, my other reviews for The Following, for Hannibal, Survivor, my upcoming reviews for The Walking Dead seasons 1, 2, and 3, and I believe that's all. And my final review for The Red Road, which is coming soon. So I'm going to work on The Walking Dead, and when I finish that, I'm going to keep it going and keep it moving. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. And if you like my review and everything, thumbs up, and definitely subscribe. I would love to have more subscribers. And stay tuned for my Hannibal review that's coming tonight. Thank you, guys. Love you all. Subscribe. Bye, guys. Bye.